Hello there, my name is Brandon and I make pictures out of tiny squares. And today's going to be a bit of a book report video because I wanted to highlight this book, Arcade Game Typography by Toshi Omagari, which brings together pixel art construction, typeface design, and video game history in this really easy to follow format. This book gathers and presents typefaces from the arcade era, and rather than being an exhaustive compendium, it's a curated selection of around 200 examples made from his examination of upwards of about 4,000 arcade games, primarily of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. To help narrow the focus, the compilation is restricted to arcade-exclusive fonts of a monospaced 8x8 pixel sizing, which was the most common tile size for the era being studied, and it's also the most interesting because an 8x8 pixel size is quite restrictive, so we get to experience the creative ways that various designers have used this same small space to design an incredible range of typefaces. The book is organized into several chapters based on the classification of letter form, whether that be serif, sans serif, etc., which allows for easy comparison between similar designs. As you flip through, you're presented with typefaces from each game, and underneath each image, the title, publisher, and year of release are shown for each set, as well as a brief passage about the game's context and an interpretation of the typeface design choices and features. Throughout each chapter, there are several games that are given a featured screenshot where you can see how the typeface looks within the context of the game design. One of my favorites was the scripted typeface used in a shoot-'em-up game called Skyfox from 1987. There's a range of gray tones used to create the illusion of variation in line weight and taper, and beyond that, it's just an interesting aesthetic for a game like this, which by the sounds of it also had a few bizarre choices in other respects. Also peppered throughout the book are a few longer form essay type sections, which go into more detail about a variety of topics, such as the origin and prevalence of what's known as the Atari font, which was seen in several games of the era, with slight variations in a few characters from time to time. There's a great figure within one of these essays that shows interpretations of the Atari font as if it were a smoothed out vectorized typeface. And I think that's just a neat way to represent the way that we think about silhouettes in pixel art as being these more elegant curves and angles, and that kind of directs our design a lot of the times too. Here are a few other favorites I found throughout the book. This typeface is from a dune buggy racer called Road Riot, and it uses an outline lettering with a graded blue gradient that, especially for the lowercase letters, gives this sort of bubbly metallic look that's a really interesting complement. Atari's Food Fight from 1982 is apparently one of the earliest uses of a multicolor typeface, and it's really neat to study the placement of the two darker tones that create subtle rounding and fading in these letters. These italicized letters from Acha Mecha Fighter are really fun due to a use of different color on each row to create this pastel-y pink to yellow gradient with an outline lettering. And finally, I really like this one from Firehawk, which, being fitting of the title, uses red, orange, and yellow to create these fiery letters, which are further emphasized by the alternating dithered placement within the letter to create the effect of being a flame texture. Overall, I just really love the way that this book brings the features of pixel art letter design into the spotlight. And with the great presentation and commentary that it offers, I'd highly recommend checking this out if you find it interesting. And I just felt like sharing this, so other than that, thank you for watching, and take care and keep it square.